Hi, everybody. Today we're going to talk about the Olympic journey. Welcome back to the Richardson Show. This episode, I want to focus on the Olympic journey for myself, since so many people have asked me how it all got started. And it basically started with a 7-year-old girl who had a dream. I was watching the Olympics for the first time in my life. I'll never forget it. There we were as a family in the living room, watching the Olympics on TV. And I saw a pole vaulter go over a bar. And when he landed on the mat, the momentum brought him up, and he was looking up and he saw the bar hadn't fallen. And his arms went up in the air, reaching up towards the sky, because he realized he had captured the Olympic gold medal. And the cameras scanned the entire Coliseum, standing ovation, and everyone chanting, USA, USA, USA. And that night, when I went to bed, I had a dream. And the dream was, I saw myself standing on a gold medal podium, and I bent down, and the Olympic gold medal was put around my neck. It was a dream we've talked about in previous episodes, the power of our minds, of our passion, the power of the dream. If we want something bad enough, that we're willing to work hard for it, that we're continuing to believe in it. This was a dream that I hadn't told anyone for years, but it was so real to me. That's why in 6th grade, we talked about how we had field day. And I was the last student standing in the long jump. And the physical education teacher, as he moved the rope farther for the long jump, he said, if you can make this jump, Dot, I will make sure you're in the Olympics. Are you kidding me? Did he know I wanted to be an Olympian? I've got to make this jump. I got to be in the Olympics. That's how bad I wanted it. So from that field day, and we talked about in junior high and getting the opportunity as a young girl to be able to finally compete in organized sports in school because of Title IX. It takes me to thinking about in high school, where I played volleyball, basketball, softball, track and field, and tennis, and I loved them all. But it was also, when you look at those sports, they all were in the Olympics, except softball. But the door to competing in softball had opened at such a young age, 10 years of age, and at 13 playing with the women's major team, the Orlando Rebels. The doors were opening in the sport of softball, but I loved all the other ones as well. But I looked at when I was 15, and the first ever professional league in our sport that was developed by Joan Joyce and Billie Jean King, that in that league I was drafted when I was 15 years of age for the Connecticut Falcons. It was a team that had all these legends. I mean, all of the women playing in the professional level were legends. Margie Wright and Mickey Davis and Joan Joyce, Irene Shea, Sharon Backus, Willie Rose, Nikki Mulder, Stephanie Tenney. I can go on, these amazing superstars that I was blessed to be a back girl for, to play with, to play against. And here I am, an opportunity to play pro. And I turned it down. Why? Because of the Olympic dream. At that time, you could not be a professional athlete and play in the Olympics for the United States of America. The other is they were just giving scholarships out for college. And I knew that's something I would need financially to be able to get my college education. So the dream of being an Olympian is still kept within, but boy, it seems so real and so alive to me. After graduating from high school, I got on a jet. I mean, literally that night after graduation, got on a jet and was flown to Colorado Springs to try out for the first ever Pan American Games softball team. Why was this important? Because the Pan American Games was the next step that had to be taken for our sport to get into the Olympic Games. Can my dream as a 7-year-old materialize? Can it happen? Keep believing. We're in San Juan, Puerto Rico, playing in the first ever Pan American Games in 1979, and we won the gold medal. It was so exciting. And here I am standing on the gold medal podium, and when I bent down and the gold medal was put around my neck, when I stood up, as excited as I was, as proud and humbled I was to represent our country and to win a gold medal with an amazing team, in the back of my mind was, I thought the dream was an Olympic gold medal. Sport's not in the Olympics. So I go to college. I played basketball a couple years, played softball at UCLA. We won the first NCAA championship ever offered. All-American selections, awesome playing our sport, loving every second of it. Cannot wait to play women's majors in the summer. For the United States team, World Championships started. We're getting closer to the Olympics. When I graduated from UCLA, Jackie Joyner-Kersee and I shared the All-University Athlete Award together our senior years. And Jackie, she went to Olympic stardom. 1982, and she's playing in the Olympics, one of the greatest female athletes of all time. But what did I do? Softball's not in the Olympics. So I went to Adelphi University, where I coached for the first time, where I got my master's degree. I applied to medical schools and got into medical school. But I look at 1982, why wasn't softball in the Olympics yet? But baseball was an exhibition sport. That was opening the doors. Then in medical school, in 1992, guess what? In Barcelona, softball's being talked about maybe being an exhibition sport, but not. Instead, baseball was representing again the ball bat sport as an exhibition sport. And then when I graduated from medical school, that day, and we talked about this a little bit before, the day that I turned over my match list, where I'd find out where I would be for the next 5 years of my life, was the very day they announced softball would be in the Olympics for the first time in Olympic history. I mean, check it out. It's like 5 world championships, 5 Pan American Games, over 20 international competitions. And every time a gold medal was put around my neck, I just remembered that dream I had as a 7-year-old girl, just knowing it was meant to be the Olympic gold medal. And now it's closer than ever. So I secretively tried out for the Olympic team when I was in my residency at USC in Southern California. And then it happened. That weekend was a tryout for the first ever Olympic team. And I'm trying out, I'm at shortstop, and I fire the ball across the infield, and it happened. A picture was taken, and yes, I became the centerfold of Sports Illustrated in the people section. Now, why is that important? Because all of the guys in the orthopedic residency program, 12 of us residents every year, figure that out. There was a lot of guys who love sport watching Sports Illustrated, and the secret was out. And do you know that every single one of those guys came up to me and said, "You got to go for the Olympics. What can I do to help you?" You name it. See, as much as we have these dreams, as much as we have these passions and goals, we've got to realize it's going to be in God's timing. It's going to be with others around us, supporting us. We're not alone in this journey we call life. And these things that we're able to do with the passion we have and the platforms that we're given, what do we do with that? Well, for me, I didn't really know what to do now the secret was out. And then Dr. Michael Padzakis calls me into his office. He's the chairman of the USC Orthopedic Residency Program. You guys, he's like the principal. You do not want to get called into the office. So Dr. Padzakis, when he called me to his office, he says, Dot, have a seat. He says, the board has decided to give you a 1-year leave of absence to go for your childhood dream of Olympic gold. And my first thought was, amazing. And then I was like, he must read Sports Illustrated. The secret was out. And I was also at the time, I was like, Dr. Padzakis, I wanted to say a year, like, what if I don't make the team? I mean, the team wasn't going to be announced until September, and this was like in June. But he gave me a year leave of absence, they all did, to go for this childhood dream. A little side note, go for it. The negativity, the doubts that come into our mind, I cannot overemphasize to say that, yes, that's human. Yes, the anxiety, the questions you have, the doubts, the fears, but I want to encourage you to the positive self-talk, to trust the plan that there is in your life that I know the Lord is leading for each and every one of us. So now, without having to work as a resident with patients and orthopedic surgery, the time was full-time, all go, softball. And as I'm trying out for the Olympic team, I was blessed when the announcement was made for your first ever United States Olympic softball team, and my name was on the roster. I'll never forget the intrigue, the excitement, the anxiety that you saw as all of us were trying out for this coveted position. So many women deserving of being called Olympians, but they weren't on the roster. How did it happen when the last tryout? We were all in this hotel and we had to walk to the end of the hallway, and the name of the first ever Olympic team was right there listed. So as I'm walking down the hallway, I looked and I saw the frustration of those women that were not named, and the tears, some tears of joy and tears of sadness for being so close. When I was told by Don Porter, the executive director of ASA, when I went to look at the list and I saw my name and he congratulated me, there was a little tear that came down from my eye for just a second, because I realized how many were not chosen. Only 15 to experience it for everyone. So here we are at a big press conference. It's just wild. It was unbelievable, the attention. First ever Olympic softball team. I look back at all those years, and here was a moment, but it still wasn't there yet. We were just now going to come together as a team, have a pre-Olympic tour, and get to the Olympic Games for 1996 in Atlanta, Georgia. And for those Olympics, you guys, softball was actually in Columbus, Georgia, where the venue was. But as we're doing this pre-Olympic tour, it was crazy because everyone wanted to be a part of it. We were exhausted, actually, because we were traveling all over and trying to share the moment with everyone, competing, coming together as a team. And all of us were housed, the Olympic team, out of Columbus, Georgia. And we were traveling back and forth for this pre-Olympic tour. And the excitement, unbelievable. The opening of doors for sponsorships. It was crazy. I had an agent. So Tom McCarthy, it was incredible. He asked me, what is your favorite glove? What is your favorite bat? All of these different things. It was just, he opened this door as well as others for opportunities financially It was just, it was a whirlwind. But yet, the focus is on what? Being the best we can be to capture the first ever Olympic gold medal. So here we are, ready to go to the opening ceremonies. I'm often asked, what does it feel like to be an Olympian in the Olympic Games? And here was one of those moments. There were a few, but this was one big one. During the opening ceremonies, every country was seated, and then they would call that country out to be introduced as they would go down into the Coliseum and walk around the track. And now it's our turn. The host country, the United States of America. And as we all got up from our seats and then end up going to the top of this Coliseum and walking down, here I am looking and seeing 100,000 people chanting just like that dream, USA, USA, USA. And as I look down, I see how steep it is. My first thought was, Dot, don't trip. And then I made it to the track and we all started walking around the track and we're waving. And I swear I can see my mom, right? And my brother up there. I was like, they gotta be, right? But we're sharing the moment with all of these fans. And as we get into the infield, here was another Olympic moment. On this huge screen was Martin Luther King saying, I have a dream. You guys, what does it mean to be Olympic? This moment was one of them. It was though time stood still and everyone was focused on that moment where it was like everybody shared a peace, an excitement of celebration. Everyone was ready to live the moment. And for us as athletes, to live the dream. Here we are in Columbus. I haven't told too many people this, but I had 3 other dreams in this whole time off as I was with the Olympic team that were Olympic. And the first one was I saw myself hit a home run over dead center field fence. Another dream I had is I hit another home run. And this home run was, I knew it was another because this home run was in right field. And then another dream, the third dream I had that was Olympic, besides the one when I was 7 years old. This third dream was I saw all of us on the gold medal podium with Olympic gold around our necks. Well, I knew the first dream had to mean I hit the first pitch ever in the Olympic Games, in the history of the Olympic Games, for softball over dead center field fence, right? That's what it had to mean. The second dream, I knew it had to be something even bigger because it was just the eruption. But here I want to take you to, I had to change the dream a little bit, by the way, because we were the host team of the Olympics, which meant as a leadoff batter for the United States, we were the home team. So the dream had to mean the first pitch to an American ever in the history of the Olympic Games for softball. So let me take you to the first pitch to an American in the Olympic Games. Yours truly. I often wonder, what did my teammates think of? What were they thinking when I walked up to the plate? Knowing that for many of us, this dream is now becoming a reality. I get into the box. The first pitch. Ball. Low outside. I literally stepped out of the box and I said out loud, do over. Do over. It was supposed to be down the middle and a home run. See, sometimes we have these dreams or these visions or these desires that we realize it really should have happened the way that it did happen. Instead of hitting a home run, here it was the way it should have been. I got a base hit up the middle, was bunted over by Julie Smith. Then Lisa Fernandez gets up and hits the ball past the second baseman to right field, and I'm rounding third and score the first run in Olympic history. Teamwork. Teamwork. We have to do it together. And so Lisa getting the first RBI in Olympic history. Julie getting the first sacrifice, leading me around to score the first run. But sometimes the dreams happen. My fourth at bat, you guys, it was as though this dream that I had just was being laid on a silver platter, slow motion. We were playing Puerto Rico, ironically, right? First Pan American Games in San Juan, Puerto Rico. When she released that pitch, it was as though the whole game just slowed down. And it was as though the ball had stopped and said, hit me. So I did. And I swear I saw that ball off my bat, even though they said scientifically it's impossible. And I just hit it as hard as I could. And as I'm sprinting towards first base, I'm rounding it and I look up and I see the ball going over dead center field fence, exactly like that dream. And the crowd erupted for the first home run in Olympic history. It was like amazing when, as my arms were up, it was all about not that I hit a home run. Seriously, what was about was I wish everyone could feel what I was feeling at least once in their lifetime, you guys. And it wasn't the home run. It was about being brave enough and strong enough and determined enough to dream big. Even when everybody around you said something is impossible, that you continue to pursue it in your passion. And then you live it. Well, the second dream came true. And let me tell you when. Remember how the second Olympic dream that I had before was about a home run to right field, and I felt it was just so big? Here we are in the Olympic gold medal game. And I have to regress just a little bit to a few days earlier. We are playing China in the round robin in order to seed ourselves to move into the gold medal round. Bases are loaded. Yours truly is up to bat. Full count. Knowing millions of people are watching. The Chinese pitcher released this ball that I was not even remotely in the back of my mind prepared for. A changeup. 2 outs, full count, bases loaded, throws a changeup. And it wasn't that I just whiffed and struck out. It was how it happened. I probably spun around or could have spun around 3 times before the ball even made it to home plate. Are you kidding me? What did I do? In this time of failure, what do we do when we fail? You cannot listen to the negativity of thinking it means you're a failure. It's a time of learning. And I was going to go to school. So I was walking back to the dugout, and as I was putting the bat back on the bat rack, my thought was, she got me this time. She beat me this time. But I'm going to go to school, and she's not going to do it again. So here we are. Fast forward a few days later in the gold medal game. Who were we playing? China. The United States versus China. And the first gold medal game ever in the Olympic history. I'm up to bat. Lorberg is on first base. I have 2 balls and no strikes. 2 balls, no strikes. What pitch would you never think a pitcher would throw in this situation? Let's be honest. A changeup. But because I went to school, I told myself, I'm going to wait change. I'm going to sit change. And if she throws something hard, I'm just going to let it go. But if she throws a changeup, I am going to rip the cover off of that ball. And I really don't care where it goes. I just want to scare her to the point where she never, ever throws that great pitch again. So I'm waiting. And as I'm in the batter's box and I commit myself to the changeup and wait, when she delivered the pitch, you guys, my eyes got this big because it was a changeup. And here it comes, and I'm waiting, and I'm waiting. And then I rotated as fast as I could, seeing that ball off my bat. And again, the whole effort was max effort to rip the cover off of the ball. And I did. And as I'm going up the line, I realize it has the distance. And then I look and I see it's a foot, actually about 3 feet, to the fair side of the foul pole. My arms went up in the air because I realized that was the second dream. And I realized it was enough. 2 runs to get us in the lead for us to win the first ever Olympic gold medal. But you guys, the first thing I heard, it was not the roar of the crowd. Instead, it was Margie Wright, our coach at first base, saying, "Run, run." But I was running, at least jogging. Laura Berg was so excited when she saw the ball was over the fence that she wanted to actually turn around and run back and probably hug me. That's Olympic. When you, as a teammate, are able to share in the accomplishments of your other teammates, knowing it's for the ultimate glory of not their individual performance, but the overall outcome of the team. It takes a team. It was enough for us to win the first ever Olympic gold medal. And as I said before, I look forward to bringing other Olympians on the show to share in those moments because they are so Olympic. But here's the biggest. There we are, fulfilling that third dream that I had. All of us standing on the gold medal podium with Olympic gold around our necks. Imagine this. Excuse me. Imagine this. Your team, who's worked so hard, is there, fulfilling the dreams, living it. And we all have Olympic gold medals around our necks. And we turn and we look towards right field. And there you hear the playing of the national anthem for the United States of America. And you see the American flag being raised above all others. Yeah. When I bent down and that Olympic gold medal was put around my neck, I knew I was living the dream I had as a 7-year-old girl, 27 years later. And what made it even more amazing was straight in front of me with a huge sold out crowd, my mom and dad, who believed in the gifts that I was given to say a 10-year-old girl could play the sport of softball with women with the average age of the team 22, supporting the gifts they saw from the daughter that they have. And then this Olympic moment, you guys. I'm often asked, what does it feel like? What did it feel like to have the Olympic gold medal around your neck and with your team? This is it. In the biggest athletic moment of my life, I felt so small. Yeah, I was bawling. I wasn't bawling because I lived a dream that I had as a 7-year-old, and through the years, never being able to compete when I was a young girl in sports because of being a girl who's athletic, to finally getting the chance to do it, to see the doors of opportunity open from Title IX and beyond for young girls to be able to share the gifts God's given them in athletics on a platform, and now as big as the Olympics. But why was I crying? Because I felt so humbled. I felt so small. Why? Because I realized we represent all who'd ever dreamt of it, and were never given the opportunity. We were living the dream for them. And we were part of opening the doors of opportunities for others, for young girls now to be able to dream about being an Olympian in the sport of softball, and maybe even beyond just the sport of softball, to be an Olympian. We're a part of history. We're a part of that, the evolution of women in sport. Man, it's just humbling. And it was a whirlwind from that moment on. From Bob Costas interviewing us. You want to know an Olympic moment? Here's one to share with you that I experienced. After we won that gold medal, everyone was going crazy, of course, as we won. We're playing in the United States. And guess what? There was a moment when I looked up to the stands and they had all these security guards all over the fences so nobody could come running onto the field. And I looked up and I saw a boy and a girl together reaching over the railing to try and share in the Olympic moment with us. And I took a little picture in my mind. That's what it's about. The Olympics in 1996. They call it the Olympics for Title IX because so many of us for the United States women's teams won the gold medal. But that moment, it occurred to me that it's happening where everyone, no matter what gender, is recognizing the gifts in athletics that were given to all of us. And we're loving it and sharing in it and believing in it and experiencing it. Man, after the Olympics, when we won that gold medal, I was stopped and I was interviewed right on the field by this cameraman who was able to get in. And he said, Dot, now that you won the Olympic gold medal, where are you going next? And you've heard that before, right? Like for the NFL, the MVP of the Super Bowl, where are you going next? And they say Disney World, right? Well, I had this opportunity. And I said, well, Walt Disney World, not I got to go back to work. I had to go back to work. I actually heard that some of these players that say that get paid. I didn't get paid for that. But anyway, it was hysterical to realize that we did it. We accomplished it. And now real life is going to set in as I have to go back to work in Southern California. Well, I did so many interviews. All of us did. It was amazing. I did the Today Show in the morning. There's so much to share, but I can tell you this was outrageous. My life would never be the same. Get back to Southern California. I thought everyone would look at the Olympic gold medal and then say, hey, we got to get back to work. And there I was back at work, but there are a lot of cameramen in the clinic. I mean, from NBC and CBS and ESPN, you name it. And I was looking at this little girl's wrist over and over again as we're like smiling for the cameras as they started to do a lot of media and press about the USA softball team winning the first ever Olympic gold medal. Then the phone rang in the clinic and one of my colleagues says, Dot, Dr. Padzakis wants you to meet him in the office in 30 minutes. Uh-oh, I'm in trouble. So I go from the clinic, go up the elevator, end up in Dr. Padzakis' office again, and he says, Dot, have a seat. Am I in trouble? He said, Dot, I don't want you to take this wrong, but you are a major distraction. He said, listen, go to the Walt Disney World Parade. Go do the Tonight Show. Go to the White House. Just go. Come back in a week. And I looked at him. I said, really? Go. Just go. Well, before I got on the red-eye flight the next night, there was one thing I wanted to do more than anything. I wanted to share the Olympic gold medal with all of the kids that were in the children's hospital. So that morning, as I went down the hill to the children's hospital, this guy came running after me. It's Dr. Richardson, wait up. I said, what's up? Because I'm a photographer and I want to take a Polaroid with each of the kids that you're with today in the hospital. And I said, let's do it. I want to end this podcast sharing with you the experience of the last child that I saw in the hospital that morning. She was in the intensive care unit and had just had brain surgery 4 days earlier. And as I went into her room, I noticed that her mom was seated to the right of the bed with her, and her sister was standing to the left. And as I went in, I looked at her, and half of her head was shaven bald, and this other half was thick black curly hair. And as I introduced myself, and I said, hey, I want you to wear the Olympic gold medal. And as I put it around her neck and I got down close to her, we both looked up and the photo was taken. And as I backed away from her, I looked at her and said, you look good in gold. And she said what many of you might have thought, is it real gold? Well, I happen to know this fact because my younger brother, Lonnie, told me that it's really not pure gold. So I answered her and I said, well, it's really 90% silver, 10% gold, but it's pure gold to me. And we talked a little bit longer. I'll never forget the smile on her face. And then I said goodbye. And as I was leaving her room, I noticed that her mom was crying, and so was her sister. And when I left the room, the 4 nurses who all had gathered, they all had tears in their eyes as well. And I walked past the last nurse and I said, is everything okay? Did I do something wrong? She said, no, Dot, you don't understand. This child has not spoken a single word since her surgery until now. You see, it's not about national championships or All-American MVPs. It's not about gold medals. It's not really about Olympic gold medals. What I believe it is about, and I want to encourage each and every one of you, is use the gifts that God has given you and the platforms that you have, the opportunities, and use it to impact the lives of others, to make them feel as special as they are. We're in this together. I appreciate each and every one of you. So listen, make sure you like, make sure you share and subscribe. Hope you enjoy this podcast and our time we have together. And I really want to encourage you to send questions because I'd love to have a question and answer, and look forward to all the special guests that we're going to have on the Dot Richardson Show. God bless you.